In the quiet suburbs of Richmond, Virginia, life often moves at a gentle pace. White picket fences, trimmed lawns, and neighbors who wave from their driveways. It's the kind of place where darkness feels out of place, where tragedy seems like something that happens somewhere else. But behind the doors of one ordinary home, a secret was growing. A secret that would soon erupt into one of the most haunting cases the town had ever seen. This is the story of Thomas and Patricia Bradley, a couple whose picture-perfect marriage slowly turned into a web of lies, betrayal, and murder. Thomas Bradley was a man of discipline, a U.S. Army veteran who prided himself on structure and control. After serving overseas, he returned home hoping to build a quiet life. He met Patricia at a church event in the early 1990s. A kind, soft-spoken woman with an infectious smile and a reputation for being trustworthy. Their romance was fast but passionate. Within a year, they married, settling into a comfortable suburban home. Friends described them as the ideal couple, hardworking, respectful, and devoted to each other. But as the years went by, cracks began to show. Thomas, once easygoing, grew distant, secretive even. Patricia noticed late nights at the office, hushed phone calls, and unexplained absences. And then came the financial troubles. Bills piled up. Creditors called. Yet Thomas seemed to always find a way to make the money appear, without ever explaining how. Behind closed doors, Thomas Bradley had developed a gambling addiction. Poker games, sports betting, even underground casinos, his thirst for risk was growing out of control. He borrowed money from friends, co-workers, and even took out small loans in Patricia's name without her knowledge. As his debts deepened, so did the lies. Patricia, sensing something was wrong, confronted him one night. Neighbors would later recall the sounds of shouting echoing through their quiet street. But by morning, the Bradleys appeared calm again, smiling as if nothing had happened. That smile, police would later say, was the mask of a marriage on the edge of collapse. On a chilly autumn evening, Patricia called her sister. She said Thomas had been acting strange, quiet, moody, distant. She mentioned feeling unsafe, though she didn't go into detail. It would be the last conversation anyone had with her. 2 days later, Patricia's coworker reported her missing. She hadn't shown up for work, and her phone went straight to voicemail. Thomas told police that Patricia had left after an argument, that she needed space and would come back when she'd cooled off. But detectives found his story inconsistent. There were no signs Patricia had packed clothes or taken her car keys. No bank activity. No messages. It was as if she had vanished into thin air. A week into the investigation, police executed a search warrant. Behind the couple's backyard shed, buried under a shallow layer of soil and leaves, officers made a gruesome discovery. Human remains wrapped in a tarp. Dental records confirmed it was Patricia Bradley. The cause of death: blunt force trauma to the head. Neighbors were in disbelief. The Bradleys had seemed so ordinary. They hosted barbecues, attended church, and waved at children walking to school. No one could imagine that a nightmare was unfolding just beyond their fences. When confronted with the evidence, Thomas denied everything. He claimed Patricia had fallen, that it was an accident. But forensic experts quickly dismantled his story. The blow that killed her was deliberate, delivered with enough force to suggest rage, not accident. Inside Thomas's car, investigators found receipts for cleaning supplies, plastic sheeting, and a shovel, all purchased days before Patricia's disappearance. The trial began nearly a year later, drawing massive media attention. Prosecutors painted Thomas as a manipulative man, driven by greed and desperation. They revealed how he had taken out the life insurance policy just weeks before the murder, and how his gambling debts had reached a breaking point. The defense argued that the death was accidental, the result of a heated argument that went too far. But the evidence was overwhelming. DNA on the tarp, the blood in the garage, the timeline of purchases, it all pointed to premeditation. Family members wept as the prosecution showed images of the crime scene. The jurors sat in silence as the reality of Thomas's betrayal sank in. After just 7 hours of deliberation, the verdict was unanimous. The community of Richmond struggled to process the tragedy. Friends and neighbors erected a small memorial near the Bradley home. Candles, flowers, and handwritten notes for Patricia. Her sister described her as a gentle soul who believed in love and second chances. For many, the case became a haunting reminder of how darkness can hide behind even the most perfect facades. The insurance company later revealed that Thomas had attempted to claim the policy just days after Patricia's disappearance, a move that would later be used as evidence of his motive. In the years since, the story of Thomas and Patricia Bradley has been studied by criminologists and profilers as a chilling example of domestic betrayal. How greed, secrecy, and addiction can turn love into violence. Today, the Bradley home stands empty, a silent monument to what once was. Neighbors say that on quiet nights, you can still see the porch light flicker, though no one lives there anymore. Perhaps it's just faulty wiring. Or perhaps it's a reminder of a life cut short and a love that turned deadly. Patricia Bradley trusted the man she loved. But trust, once broken, can be the most dangerous weapon of all. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic abuse or feels unsafe, contact the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE-7233.